Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, great. So I'd like to confirm if Madam Shea is on the call already. Madam Shea, can you confirm your presence, please? Okay, so I'll wait for Madam Shea to join the call. Mr. Nanchang, it's a pleasure to have you with me on this call. And thank you so much for putting this together. As we may know, Settlement House.
Oh God, there's some people, if you meet, your life will shift. Your life will shift, whether the devil likes it or not. My God, let me find such people. Let me find that anointing. It will shift my life. Let me find that anointing.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not seeing it yet.
Joy, Madam Joy Agugu, can you please mute your mic, please? Thank you. Okay, great. So as you may know, Settlement House ADR Institute Nigeria is interested in bringing peace to lives, homes, and communities through peaceful and amicable dispute resolution. And they also train interested people in dispute resolution, mediation skills, arbitration, and other forms of ADR, including but not limited to legal practitioners, mediators, mediation and ADR advocates, as well as those who want to learn about alternative dispute resolution mechanisms and who want to connect with opportunities within that area. So this is the core focus of Settlement House ADR Institute. So, and we have with us our Executive Director, Mr. Nanchang Nangwang. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for putting this together, Mr. Nanchang.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll just hold on for our speaker. Oh, she's here now. You're welcome, Madam Shea Steve Matthew. Hello, Madam Shea. Thank you for joining this call. Thank you for being here. Can you hear me, Madam Shea?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. It's our pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much. So without further ado, we'll just dive right in. Madam Shea is Madam Shea.
Excuse me, please.
Okay.
Yeah, please. Before we proceed, I noticed the presence of the chairman of the governing body, the person of Ms. Roskana Ankama. Please, I want to welcome you specially and thank you for creating time to be with us. Maybe if you have something you want to, maybe you welcome us. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Hello. I don't know if she's with us. The chairman of the governing body of Settlement House ADR Training Institute. Please, can you say hello to us before we proceed, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm with you, Madam Francis. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
I am on transit. So I won't be able to put on the video. I'm on the road. I might lose internet any moment from now. I want to welcome everybody to be part of this very illuminating session this afternoon. Thank you, Madam Sheikh, for agreeing to share your knowledge with us. And I wish us all well. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, as we all know, we're now being joined by Madam Sheidiva Matthew, who is a passionate entrepreneur, educator, and professional trainer on business development management with an academic background in entrepreneurship and business management. She creates solutions, develops strategic planning, evaluation, and continuity in venture creation and sustainability, both in profit-making organizations and non-profit. She's a seasoned mediator and runs a private mediation and conciliation firm. She possesses great networking and collaboration skills, excellent communication and presentation skills, planning and organizational skills, negotiation and people skills. She is a business strategist extraordinaire. She is seated on the board of some companies within Nigeria and internationally. She coaches entrepreneurs across the public and private sectors to maximize their value and skills, as well as to create sustainable financial stability for themselves while pursuing their passion for impact and productivity. As an effective communicator, she helps professionals build confidence in navigating through investment and business development to achieve their personal and professional goals. She specializes in human resource management, business and investment law, construction and infrastructure business, mediation and conciliation business, and she is also a Nigerian. She speaks Hausa, Yoruba, English, and basic French. Madam Shei, it's our pleasure to have you on this call. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me, ma'am.
Thank you. So the Human Resource Department frequently acts as a mediator between employees and managers, quickly responding to conflict and ensuring employers do not violate the rights of employees. Now, as a result of the dynamics, we at Settlement House thought it was necessary to have a webinar like this to educate human resource professionals on skills that they need to be well-rounded in order to increase the efficiency and productivity of their organization. So it's on the basis of this that we decided to put up this webinar, and we're definitely glad to have you share your thoughts with respect to the topic. So let's just go right in. The skills that human resource personnel need for the settlement of disputes within their organization. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. All right. I believe you can all hear me.
Yes, loud and clear, ma'am.
So I'll go right in. All right, I'll go right into it. Well, welcome. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you're listening from. And welcome to this segment. So I'm taking a topic that says the alternative to dispute resolution is a vital skill for human resource managers. Like you heard, my names are Sheidiva Matthew, and is just so very vital for us as human resource managers to have these strategies to navigate our workplaces disputes. You have that in an organization, you have the management and the employee, and then you also have the employees and the colleagues. And in this, it is very, very vital that every human resource manager knows that, every human resource manager knows that alternative to dispute resolution is a vital key to have within their working environment hemisphere. As an HR manager in an organization, ADR is very vital to effectively build a non-toxic working environment, because you will have loads and tons of disputes between both the managers, the employees, the management, and also colleagues. So that is why it's very vital that as HR professionals or HR managers, you have this tool to equip yourself to enable you to navigate well within the organization where you are stationed or where you work. So we proceed right into it. And I said something here in the slides that I'll be showing that first thing first, being an HRM, it is important to know that most times it may not seem necessary to think about our emotional intelligence when things are going perfectly well. That is always the truth. A lot of time when things are going smoothly in an organization, we find out that HRM or HR professionals don't necessarily think about the emotional intelligence. But I put a clause there and I said, what about on a bad day? What about the days where you have that so many things are going on in the organization where you work? And I said, improving emotional intelligence will help us like our job more, right? And it will help us like our peers more and make us be liked by our peers and then be more effective with our jobs. That is just the basic truth. A lot of times, by the time we can, okay, all right, I can share that, all right. By the time we can navigate through that, we'll find out that having this emotional intelligent poise is the best tool we can have to navigate and then to deal with any crisis at all in any organization we find ourselves. All right, I'm trying to get my video on. Just give me a minute. Okay. Okay, I think it's on now. All right, like I was saying, I said the legit strategy to navigate the workplace dispute is our emotional intelligent poise. Now, what do I mean by that? Having your emotional intelligence thinking cap consistently as an HR manager can help you navigate through whatever dispute or challenges that might arise in any organization where you work or where you find yourself managing. Now, there are 5 cardinal points to the ER or the emotional intelligence to HRM professionals that they should have. Next slide, please. And then I said, number 1 is know yourself. You have to know yourself. And in knowing yourself, there is this other part to it that say, know thyself. Now, there are 2 words there. Knowing yourself is definitely self. As we go through the slides, we have these tools and we can understand what these tools represent and help us in a way to work with our colleagues more. We'll find out that there are minimal challenges that will come up in this that you as an HR member won't be able to handle. You'll be able to handle it so well and then be able to solve a lot of challenges.
How much is your spaghetti? How much is your spaghetti?
Okay. All right. Going to the next slide, I said, know yourself. That's the first thing we'll be talking about. And I said, sometimes it's when we do not want to think about our own improvement that we need it most. A lot of times, has HR
The 2 is
This one. 3. Mr. Barnabas, can you please mute your mic? Mr. Barnabas and Mr. Abubakar, can you please mute your mic?
Okay, sorry. Hear me now. Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, ma'am. We can hear you.
Can you hear me now? All right. Okay, sorry. So where did I stop? Because obviously the mic was muted earlier. All right, I'll just go ahead. I started at knowing yourself. And I said, sometimes it's when we do not want to think about our own improvement managers to be able to navigate through any challenges or dispute that might arise within the organization where we work. And I said something else. I said, before we can think about others, sometimes we need to think about our own behavior first before we think about other people's behavior, why they are not following some certain rules, why are they not following some certain guidelines that the establishment have put in place. You know, as an HR manager, you need to put on your thinking cap consistently, but knowing yourself first and thinking about your own behavior first on a particular situation will help a lot. And then I went ahead and I said, the line of thoughts. As an HR professional, you should have the following line of thoughts always about yourself. Now, remember, we're talking about the first thing that says about yourself. You know, and one of the questions there is, one of the top lines there is there anything we can easily improve an interaction with someone? There's something can do to improve, or is there something I as an HR manager can do to improve my interaction with someone in the establishment where
Madam Shei,
all
can you
right.
please? Okay.
All right, I think it's muting itself, but it's back on now. Sorry about that. And it says, do you have time to give this person the proper attention?
Madam Shei, can you please unmute yourself?
I don't know why it's muting itself, but it's on mute.
Okay.
But I'll just be checking it constantly then.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. I apologize again.
It's okay.
And then again, he said, am I letting my own issues affect the interaction? That is when the individual we're having a conversation with someone. First one is proper attention. The second one is full attention. Then the third one is, am I allowing my own personal issue affect the interaction I'm having with that individual or those persons in that organization? Then the next one says, do I understand the message the person is trying to convey? All right, getting all these tools together, asking ourselves these questions, having these top lines helps us as HR managers to be able to take full ownership of any situation that might come up within an organization. But you see, by the time we don't get these questions, have these top lines within ourselves, we begin to have that there are some challenges that will come up and we think people are difficult. But first thing first, to be able to have an effective management of an organization where you are as a human resource manager, you need to have this top line for yourself consistently. All right. So we go straight into the next one. You know, I said there are two. There is know yourself, and then there is know thyself. So in knowing thyself, there's one particular question that came up for me. And that question is, what is your greatest strength? As a person, as an individual, what is your greatest strength? This is what you should emphasize as an HR manager. Having your emotional intelligence work with you in the organization where you work. You need to think of several ways in which you can emphasize your strength. For example, like the example on the slide, they said, my strength is empathy. And then I said, I can emphasize that my listening to someone more effectively. That can be my strength. Listening to someone with such empathy, so much attention, And then the person gets this feedback that I'm so engrossed in what he's trying to tell me, or I'm following with so much passion and emotions with what he's trying to say, you know. So when you know yourself like that, and you say, okay, this is my greatest, I empathize with people, then you can use that and then be able to solve any challenge or whatever might come up in an establishment where you work as an HR manager. Now, the next one says, the next aspect of knowing thyself is, what is your biggest weakness? What is your biggest weakness? This is what you should work to improve on by knowing thyself, you know? And then think of a few ways that you can improve upon your weaknesses when you know what your weakness is. And I said there, for example, my biggest weakness is I interrupt and I'm too sensitive. You know, when someone is talking before, oh, no, I think I know what you're trying to say. Oh, no, you shouldn't go that way. You shouldn't use those words. No, when you know that your weakness, you have this particular kind of weakness, you know, that you interrupt or you're too sensitive, then you should know that you need to improve on those areas. And I said, one, I can work to improve that by focusing on what the speaker is saying and not trying to always respond and having confidence that I am a good person, even if someone finds fault. Is on the next slide, if we can get that. I said, I can work to improve that. That is, I know that my weakness is I can interrupt, or I can be too sensitive when people are trying to use some certain words. Now, how will I now as an HR manager work on this biggest weakness of mine? Is to improve on focusing on what the person is trying to say and not always trying to respond to what the person is trying to say, you know, and then having confidence that I'm a good person, and then finding faults in the person. And then B, I say, work to improve rather than feel defeated. You work to improve rather than feel defeated. That is in the both ways of knowing yourself and then knowing thyself. When you get these things about yourself and then you know them well, you'll be able to navigate through any challenge that might come up between you and then your co-workers, or between the management and the employees, or the employees and their colleagues working in the same organization. Are we following? And I hope we're listening. Next, I think we'll be going to the next slide that says listening. And then listening is one of the key tools of how you can, you know, is a place where you have conflicts resolution and negotiation working together. And then from the research, it shows that research shows that adults are usually distracted by other things while they listen. And therefore, hear about only 25% efficiency. You know, by the time I saw this, and I work with these a lot of times, and I said, that is so true. An adult, you're talking to an adult right now, his listening ability to listen to you, because when you're an HR manager, you're working with adults. You're not working with children. You're working with adults that are qualified to work in the establishment where you actually work as an HR. You know, so a lot of times, adults listen just about 25% efficiently. So what do you do as an HR manager? You learn to listen more than being able to repeat what someone just said. Are we following? We learn to listen more than repeating what someone just says. And I said, listening, it involves hearing the words, interpreting the entire message of the speaker, and giving helpful comments or feedback in return. Now, this is very vital, because a lot of times we just hear people speak, we hardly listen. And like I always tell people, that listening is a skill on its own. Listening is a skill on its own. It's something you have to practice. Hearing the word, interpreting the entire message the person is speaking, and then by giving a helpful feedback, comment in return. And when listening, is better when listening to someone speaking than sometimes trying to be extraordinary. I am different. I know what you're trying to say. I know what this person is trying to say. No. In listening, we have to find a way of balancing our multitasking ability as HR managers. Now, I put some points down there, and rather than always try to listen when someone is speaking, sometimes it is necessary and even helpful to ask the speaker to come back at a later time when you are more receptive. A lot of time as HR managers, don't just always, okay, you came in with your matter. All right, what are you saying? And you know you're busy at that point in time, but you just want to give you are not listening. So a lot of times it's always better to tell the individual to come back at a later time when you are more receptive to hear what that person has come to say to you. And that is very, very vital, because a lot of times when we don't listen to people's communication to us and listen well, we end up misinterpreting what it says and thereby building conflict from our own department to other people than being the solution itself. The number two, I wrote that it has been found that multitasking does not really work. So if someone is talking to you, put your phone down, turn away from the computer monitor and just listen. A lot of time. It will really help us as HR managers when we get into this position, listening well to people and then people we work with or work with us in an organization. A lot of time, HR, we tell ourselves, I can multitask. You're talking with me, I can answer you, I can do this. But the truth is, to actually listen and reduce chaos and having a toxic environment and being able to resolve disputes in an organization, we have to keep our full attention to someone when they come to speak with us. Like it is stated there, you pull down your phone, you give the person your full attention, you turn away from your computer, right? Then the third one says, some words do not convey the whole message. A lot of time when someone is speaking, their words do not convey the whole message. Sorry? Hello?
Go on, ma'am. We're with you.
Hello? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I thought it went off. All right. Now I said sometimes the word do not convey the whole message. You know, and a lot of times when they come to speak with us, their emotions of how they are explaining themselves are passing the message more than the words they speak. So a good listener are often always analyzing the speaker and try to get what they're trying to send. Why the speaker is sharing the information with us and what type of feedback may be desired in return. So a lot of time, the body language also is what we should listen to. Now I went ahead and there are active listening techniques. A lot of time, when listening to our colleagues, all right, when listening to our colleagues, we need to activate some techniques to be able to allow us hear more and being able to offer proper solutions and reduce any issue that might arise later within the organization. And I said active listening techniques. Number one, we said when temper flares off and frustration levels are high, you know, within maybe there's a dispute at the moment, and then everybody's temper is on the rise. This one is trying to make his point, this other colleague is trying to make his point, management is trying to make their point where they had to slash some people's money and all that. You know, when tempers are flaring up and frustrations are high, active listening can have a calming effect as an HR manager to be able to solve a lot of challenges. Active listening can actually be termed as one of the calming effects to any dispute whatsoever that can come up. All right. So, and I said below are some of the techniques. Number one, let the speaker know that you are listening with well-timed and short replies. Let the speaker know that you are listening with well-timed and short replies. E.g., somebody is speaking, oh, I see. Oh, yes. Oh, tell me more. Or even nodding, you know, and like, oh, yes, I'm following. Oh, really? That happens. You know, it gives the speaker that confidence that this person is listening to me and will be able to hear whatever solution you have to proffer, even when trying to resolve that dispute. All right. Number two is Paraphrase speaker's message to ensure you are understanding and also show an effort of understanding. You know, when talking and then the person speaks and then you go, you know, oh, really? Oh, tell me, you know, and then you nod. Really? So it happened in that manner, you know, you're giving the person that attention to be able to speak more and confidently speak. So these are part of the listening techniques. The number 3 is identify emotion the speaker is feeling. You know, for example, if the speaker is very angry and ranting, the listener can say, it sounds like you're really hurt, or that makes you really angry, huh? You know, like that's you have someone, an employee or the management just come and is ranting about a particular employee in a particular department, or an HOD comes and is ranting about a particular, you know, what you should do at that point in time is identify the emotion that that person is speaking with, that you can go ahead and like, oh, it sounds like this person really hurt you. It sounds like the word this person used actually got to you. Oh, wow. You know, for you, you're identifying and listening more. And that person speaking to you builds more confidence to hear you. So, and again, it says, this serves to validate the speaker's feelings. Then I said here as a caution, instead of asking why, which may put the person defensive, ask open-ended questions like, tell me about it, or could you help me understand more better, than saying, why? If there are some exclamation question answers that you shouldn't ask when a speaker is speaking with you, right? Then I went ahead and I said, use I statements rather than you statements. It's like, for instance, you say, I feel your frustration when you tell me, for example, you know, instead of saying, using whys or giving, you just, oh, I feel your frustration when you were telling me about this whole thing. When you tell me how your subordinate was not listening to you when you told them to do this or do that. Oh, I feel, not that you should have, no. You use the other words like I. This statement sounds less accusatory. You understand? It is no longer an accusing form of listening or speaking with the person. And then I said, effective pauses. Sometimes not saying anything at all is more effective than even the perfect response. That's the truth. A lot of time when you just pause on that particular matter and not say anything is very, very, a lot of time, very perfect to respond to whatever challenge is on ground at that particular time. And then by leaving gaps in the conversation, it allows the speaker to share more, not you just, you're talking, and then you keep talking, you know, leaving those gaps to share, to elicit a response and not giving you all in totality and just like a wind sailing, you know, but you just keep giving that person that effective pause in the conversation. And lastly, on that list is just make sure that you are an attentive listener as an HR manager. I know a lot of time because of the volume of work, we don't have that time to give to individual and listen, but to reduce and minimize a toxic environment in any organization as an HR manager, you need to have these active listening techniques. It helps you balance your emotional intelligence points when working with people or dealing with different sets of people. All right, we move to the next slide. The next thing there before we begin to round up is communication. You know, we hear a lot about communication in almost everything. Communication is vital. Communication is vital. It is very, very vital. But I'm going to concentrate on one aspect of communication in this particular segment. And it says, we all know that nonverbal communication is at least as important as verbal communication. But how can one know this knowledge and helps us in our everyday interaction as HR managers? That's non-verbal communication among colleagues. Whenever you're a speaker or a listener, sender or receiver, paying attention to any body language can guide you to a more positive outcome. I think I just said that in the aspect of listening, you know. whatever you are, whether you're the speaker or the listener, the sender, the receiver, paying vital attention to body language can guide you to a more positive outcome. When someone comes into your office as an HR manager and then hits his hand on the table, and you should know that that body language is speaking something else of anger from that person, or the person is coming to like give you a particular point or get your attention on something that he's not happy about. Now, as an HR manager, what do? You know the person has come with wahala. You just take a sit back and then you put on your thinking cap immediately and try to see how you can listen to this person. And I said, number one, does the listener seem receptive with body language or defensive? If minds and bodies tends to be more open, we'll have understanding more, not holding barriers between you and them, palm up, calm, and then relax face. Like I just said, the person has come with, I came with trouble. Now, what do you do when you made that person come? You don't now put your fist and like, okay, you're here with something. I think I'm ready. You just put those barriers back, calm down, and have a more relaxed face. And then put up a smile. Like there's this saying that says that there is no how you have a smile on your face and someone comes up angry with you, that smile is not reciprocal to the person. The person will end up with, why is this person smiling? I know in times of trying to explain why the person is smiling, he smiles back. All right. The number two, if you are the speaker, do you seem relaxed, knowledgeable, and open to discussion? Or do you seem domineering, accusatory, and then a know-it-all? These are major nonverbal communication type lines. Now I say palm up or arm up at your side, rather than pointing or pounding your decks, looking at people in the eye, opening your body languages. And again, they say, check your tone or the tone of your voice. Is it friendly? Or does it sound like you are barking? Or are you speaking in a reasonable speed and volume? I just explained it. Put your hand, point, hit the decks, your eyes is rolling, your body language is already, nobody can, and all that. Or is your voice, or your voice is, oh, really, how are you today? You came in really, can you just sit down first, and all that. And I believe you can understand a lot of these nonverbal communications to help us as HR managers. And I said, as an HRM, it's very important to know that nonverbal communication is very contextual and individual. Because not everybody in the organization that will react to you in some certain ways. Everybody have their own, because everybody is formed from different personality traits. So you now never assume someone's feelings based on one or two common behavior of that particular person. Never assume somebody's feelings based on, one or two behavior from that individual. Then you just stereotype the person and that is all. A lot of times when people, as HR manager, I believe we're already equipped with our personality traits as ourselves, and then we begin to study the personality traits of people we work with. I know that sometimes you have two personality traits in one person, and then one personality trait, somebody is just sanguine or feel like, and then is melancholy, they're just mixing up. Now, you don't use that when someone behaves in some certain ways in one or two occasions and use it to assume that that's how that person behaves. No. As an HR manager, you don't have to have this judgmental mindset. If you don't have the judgmental mindset about people you work with, then you'll be able to reduce conflicts among you and staff or among staffs themselves. You'll be able to help them reduce this kind of conflict because you know why this person behaved this way and why this person behaved this way. Next thing is communicating with difficult people. The question sometimes is why must people be difficult? That's the question a lot of times we ask that. Why is it that most people are difficult? Why are human beings difficult? It is like, why am I created? Let me put it there. You ask yourself, it's so very, very, you can't ask yourself, why am I created? You're created for a purpose. So in the same way, people will always be difficult, right? And I said, whether someone is trying to be difficult or just as a gift, we need to have some strategies to deal with these people while keeping our cool as HR managers. You know, and I said, difficult people come in different forms. If you can see the arrows on the slides, you have the one that the two edges are sharp. You have one that one edge, you have the other one going down, you have the other one coming this other way. So difficult people come in different forms, and you can't use just one form to judge just one person. I said, no, this is how this person is, and then you're conversing with the person in this manner only. No. As an HR, you have to have this knowledge about how these difficult people are and how you can communicate with them and build a non-toxic environment in your organization, and also be able to resolve disputes between these people. And I said, number one is the provocator, the kind of difficult people that can provocate people, that can just provoke you unnecessarily or provoke other people unnecessarily. And I said, purposely say inflammatory, unnecessary, or off-topic comments in order to get a reaction from you. You know, those are the kind of people we call the provocators. You might just be and so, you know, just, that's what she would say, you know, and they just keep saying some words. Now, how do you deal with those kind of people? How do you communicate with those kind of people? All right, we're going to talk about that. And I said, the withholders do not volunteer in any information, answer with short responses that are not useful. You know, those are the withholders. And then the sarcastic ones, do not take things seriously. Put a negative and somewhat mocking spin on your message anytime you try to speak as an HR manager to other colleagues or in an organization. Then you have the critic. Nothing is good enough. Nothing is enlightening. The process is stupid. Anywhere else will be more enjoyable. Those are, they criticize everything. They criticize whatever rules, anything you put in place, you know. And then the last difficult set of people, you have the shy ones. In contrast to the withholders, the shy ones may want to cooperate, but it's difficult to draw out, does not give helpful response, and it's not easily to read. May seem uninterested in your subject matter due to self-consciousness behavior. Now, as HRMs, having the hand-on knowledge of the above will aid you in knowing how to handle and treat each of them in their own different levels. And you'll be able to communicate with them in their own different levels. You can imagine when a provocator comes to speak with you, because they are knowledgeable of how to communicate with them, you know how to speak to a provocative person because you know yourself, you know your strength, and you know your weakness. All right? You've known how to actually listen when they speak or when they are talking. You listen more than trying to react. All right? It's the same way the withholder, the sarcastic one, the critic one, and the shy one. And I said strategies to handle the above people. Number one, you can confront the attitude with a question, e.g., maybe you disagree with the statement or with that statement, or could you tell me your view about that? You know? And then number two, it says, draw difficult people into a friendly dialogue.
I think we may have lost our guest as a result of network or something. So just hold on and see if she returns.
Yeah, man, this thing constantly, you know how to.
Okay, please, as we give some few minutes to our guests, if you have some questions, you can begin to drop them in the chat box, or if you want to speak your questions, you'll be welcome. So please write down your questions on the chat box. Get
Okay, Madam Shay is back now. Ma, you can go ahead, please.
Okay. I think the network is okay. Sorry about that. All right. So I was at the slide as the strategies to handle the above people, the difficult people, because you always have them in an organization. And I said you confront the attitude with questions. That's the number one. And then number two is I said you draw difficult people into a friendly dialogue to hopefully lighten up the mood and feel more positive for everyone. You know, I do this a lot. When I notice the people that are trying to get things difficult in the organizations where I manage or some things, you know, I move them into a friend zone dialogue. And then before you know, almost every other thing we need to do, we do it together with ease. Then number three, I say, if all else fails, ignore the problem person, that's the problem individual, and think about all the positive people instead. This way, you will not be weighed down by one person's negativism. All right. Then the other part I'm talking about here is the building chips that the HRM taught patterns. I say, I know trying to please everyone is futile, but what do you do? Or what do I do instead? If I'm an HR manager in an establishment to be able to reduce dispute or solve disputes in that establishment. Number one, I say, part of being emotional intelligence is being able to read people and situations while knowing how we are feeling and coming across that particular situation or challenge. All right? Now, if a person or situation is a lost cause, it is okay to let it go. Do not waste your valuable time and energy more than it's necessary, assuming that you have made reasonable attempts with this individual or with this set of people, you know? And I said, you move on. Do you understand? It helps you as an HR person to build yourself more. And then the next one, I said, stay focused on what you can do better rather than change someone else's behavior. In the end, each person is responsible for his or her own behavior, not others' behavior. So work on you, like we said, work on knowing yourself, know thyself, and then your listening, active listening techniques, and being able to communicate with people more. Then number three, stop trying to please everyone. As an HR manager in any organization, to be able to resolve disputes a lot of time, don't try to please everyone. Stop it. If you've been doing it before, you just have to stop trying to please everyone. The person who is always trying to help everyone is the first one to get knocked down. That's the truth. In other words, people do not appreciate someone trying to help them. And they often will take out their frustration on the very person who is trying to do just a bit of not all, but not trying too hard. All right. I think that will move us to the next slide. I talked about, I'm so stressed as an HR person. How do I now navigate through solving people's challenges when I'm stressed as an HR? I have all the workload in my head to manage everybody, from management to all the HODs to everybody. And I said, how can I manage my stress? Number one, step away from the situation if possible is always very, very critical. When you know you are stressed, how you can manage your stress when you have some basic challenges on your table or your workload is step away from some of those situations if possible. Then focus on in and out of your breath, as in focus on the in and out of your breath for a few minutes and concentrate only on that. You know, I do it a lot. And in my office, we have this 1 hour, everybody shut down your system, no working, take a time out, take a load off. If you like, you can sleep. But those that feel like work, you can walk out, you can go out, but you know, take a load down and just breathe in and out for a few minutes and concentrate only on that. That's how your diaphragm and everything about your body feels, to be able to build more oxygen in your blood streams to be able to flow well. You know, it helps you reduce stress. And he said, if you need to vent, find a friend, family member, or trusted colleague who you can trust to listen and maybe offer helpful suggestions. This is very vital and very key. As HR managers, you don't bottle up everything you need to handle because you're handling so many things. How do you handle these disputes and you don't get knocked down at the end of the day? A lot of times when you're stressed under it, and sometimes I tell people, vent if you need to vent, or find a friend, family member, and also give you help. Then the fourth one, once you are calm, think about the stressful situation in a different way. I tell people this a lot, and it works. Once you are calm, think about that whole situation that's happening in a very, very different way. You know, how can you change that situation? How can you better cope with it if you can't change it? Have you tried some alternative way of dealing with the situation or that person? You know, a lot of times when you do this, you find out that you actually reduce the stress of yourself. Then finally, even as we conclude right away, is as a practicing human resource manager, you must have the following to navigate and build a non-toxic environment within an organization where you work. And number one, I said boundaries. You need to have boundaries. Everybody can be your friend. You can't be everybody's friend. Everybody can be your buddy in a particular, organization where you work. So you have to have boundaries. Then number two, I said rules of thumbs. The rules of thumbs. Once you have that rule of thumbs working for you, now is a different topic entirely. It will take a lot of digging deep into it, but you can research on the rules of thumbs. And then the other one is questions from others. If you practice and have these and be able to navigate around this, I'm telling you, you'll be able to dispute more better. And if possible, reduce the level of dispute you have in your organization. So this is where I yield my mic to the anchor to take over for questions and then answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam Sheyi. In case you have you joined us halfway, we've been with Madam Sheyi Diva Matthew, who has taken us through some of the skills we need as HR personnel and how we can, deploy such skills to reduce conflict within our organizations and generally to promote our efficiency. So very quickly, Madam Sheyi, before your second to last point, I wanted to ask how often HR professionals should indulge in dispute resolution vis-a-vis their roles, their main roles in the organization. But you already did that while you are rounding off. So I don't know if you would like to add to that or if I should just go on to the next question.
Yes, as an HR professional, you need it like the air you breathe. Let me put it that way. It's an everyday practice that you need to have as a tool for yourself because you work with people and you're working with different individuals, different personality traits, different tribes. Let me put it like that if you're in Nigeria. So it's a tool you need consistently. Every single day when you wake up and you're going to work, you need to sharpen that skills, tell yourself, know yourself, speak to yourself, and then get these things rolling in your mind constantly.
Awesome. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you very much. The other question I have here is, how do you balance a situation where, the HR is being employed by the management, and there you are as a HR trying to resolve a dispute between the employee and the management? I mean, how do you balance it to avoid, cheating one person, for want of a better word now, but to avoid the employee either feeling bad or to avoid the management either feeling challenged or something like that? So how do you balance it?
Okay. I believe this is more like a practical question of a particular place that we manage, where the management have rules and guidelines of how they operate the establishment. And by the time you're employing these employees, you give them the employment letter that states these rules and guidelines in it. But a lot of the employees don't read those rules and guidelines, they just sign. So when there are issues that has to do with the management and the employee, and you as an HR manager, what you do is you make yourself, you abreast yourself with the rules of that organization, and being able also to put yourself in the shoe of the employee, so that you're not on this side with the management and the employee is feeling bad. You have to put every single thinking tank of, like I said, put yourself in the shoe of the employee, and then also put yourself in the shoe of the management. And at the end of the day, your goal is what works for that establishment. What is the focus goal of that establishment? And being able to make the other person, which is the employee, see reasons why the management are saying this, and also make the management see the reasons why the employee says this. By the end of the day, it all comes to the final goal of what the organization focus and their dreams, their vision, and their mission is, to be able to attain that. So as a HR manager, you have to navigate in between both, and you are not permitted to be on any side. You just in that place where you know that is what is expected for the organization goal, the mission, and the vision of the organization. I don't know if I answered that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very, very much. You heard it for our participants on the call that for HR personnel, you can't do without emotional intelligence. I, for one, believe that emotional intelligence should be the number one. I mean, for any professional at all, provided you're dealing with people, you must have that skill. Thank you so much, Madam Sheyi. The other thing we're going to be taking home is the fact that we should imbibe the culture of good listening, active listening skills, actually, communication, and the list of others. Thank you so much, Madam Sheyi, for having us. Thank you so much. Over now to Mr. Nanchang. Thank you so much. Do you have announcements you want us to hear from you, Mr. Nanchang?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for the time. I want to appreciate our speaker for availing herself for this session. It was actually enlightening. I discovered that for mediators, I think some of the skills and some of the things they've learned, it will actually make them good human resource managers or professionals. So thank you very much for this time. We also want to appreciate our participants who are out of the busy schedule and the condition of the society. You know, everybody is anticipating the result of the presidential election, but that notwithstanding, they were able to create time to be with us at this meeting. We are very, very grateful. We will urge you to look forward to some of the edition of our settlement hour that is coming up, and we will keep you posted. If you have questions, if you have anything that you need from us, please kindly reach out to us. You can also check our website, www.settlementhouseadr.com. You will see some information about the Institute and what we do. And very importantly, most importantly, we have a training coming up in the first week of March. For some of you who may be interested in doing some training in mediation. You know, we have a training that is slated for 8th to 10th of March. So you can reach out to us to find out details for those who want to acquire those skills. And without any other thing, I think I will want to appreciate also the chairman of the governing body for availing herself to be with us during this meeting. Thank you for all the participants, those I was able to mention and those that I was unable to mention their names. Please, we really appreciate you. please, we'll keep sending out information about some of our trainings so that you will take advantage of them. Most of them are free, like settlement are. We're going to be having a session next on apology, forgiveness, and acceptance, apology, and forgiveness. It's going to be an interesting session on settlement hour. Please look forward to it. It's something that you will not want to miss. And then when you have information, you can share it with others, just as we know that conflicts and disputes are inevitable in our society. Some of these trainings are going to equip you with the necessary skills you need to be able to navigate your way and also be a solution or part of the solution to the society. So thank you very much for this time. Miriam, if there is no any other thing, I want to say thank you, and then we'll bring this meeting to a close. Mariam?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Nanchang, for putting this up. It is timely and it is definitely worth the time. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Madam Shea, and thank you to the member of our governing board. We sincerely appreciate you. Thank you very much, everyone. So with this, we bring this program to a close. I wish you all an amazing evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you for joining. Chioma, thank you. Abubakar is there. Our mommy Mata is here. Thank you very much for joining us. Yes, thank you. Oh, I can see our. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you. I hope you benefited a little from the session. Thank you. I can see Nonye. Please, thank you very much, Ma, for being with us. We are very grateful. We're happy to have you. Barnabas, Andrew, Abubakar, Esther, thank you. Thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you too, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been a while. Happy to see your face once again.
Thank you, Mr. Nanchang. It is an eye-opener. And thanks to the moderators and the anchor also. Thank you for an eye-opening program and session.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
The never tired executive director. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much. We really appreciate. Really appreciate.
That's